Welcome to the Dream Achievers podcast, where we focus on business owners and purpose-driven leaders in our local communities. We meet people every day where we shop, eat, and do life, and want to bring their stories to you each and every Wednesday. Now, let's get to this week's guest.
Hey, this is Andy Young. Welcome back to another episode of Dream Achievers. On my journey of meeting people and doing different things, obviously food is a big focus. You know that from watching these in the past, and this is no different with kind of a food theme of everything. But I've got Hannah with the Wonkey Donkey Bakery. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're warming up. We kind of got out of this chill of the last few weeks of everything being so frozen. But nothing is like a hot loaf of bread.
No, it's actually one of the best things that comes out of my oven. I have to tell my husband, wait until you can touch it to cut it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't last long in our house.
So, I mean, when I say a name like that, the Wonkey Donkey Bakery, first thing I got to ask, what's behind the name?
Everybody asks. So, my husband and I got married 2 years ago almost, and I've always wanted a donkey. And my mom and dad were like, always, no, you cannot have a donkey. We have cows, chickens, all the things. A donkey is not all we need. So when we got married, I found actually a lady that works, or she lives beside where I work. So I went and knocked on her door, and she has donkeys, and she sold me one. And his name's Bert, and he was our first pet after we were married. So of course he's like a big puppy. He's a full-size donkey. He's huge, but he acts like a puppy. So we started calling him the Wonkey Donkey. And until I named the bakery, I had absolutely no idea that it was a children's book, even though I'm a teacher, which is awful. But I had no idea. And people always say, that's really unusual. Where did you come up with that? And it was just my husband and I going to feed the donkey. We're going to go feed the Wonkey Donkey, get him some carrots. So it just kind of just
came out with that. So it's now, you were sharing a little bit earlier off camera that we're now almost or right at a year of doing this. Mm-hmm. Did you just grow up that you loved baking, or?
That's such a long story. I did. I think I've always loved like all kinds of cooking, all kinds of baking. I think everybody from Appalachia has like their little southern mamaw that always is, has this to eat when you come in their house, or have some fresh pie or whatever. And my mama was like that, so I grew up cooking with her and baking with her, and I loved it. So I really loved it for a long time. And then I finally had the idea of I got into sourdough, and I was like, I would love to share this with people and kind of get it out there. But yeah.
So was the love of sourdough, was that during COVID, like a bunch of people, that it was like, hey, I'm going to go create this thing?
Well, no, actually. I got on this healthier lifestyle kick, which I needed to do. And, we started looking into things that we could eat that would be healthier for us. And, of course, like pasta, bread, all the things that I love. And I realized that sourdough was actually better for you pretty much all around. I have like technical things that I get into, but it's overall better. So I started making it and giving it to my family, and I made it for us every week. And it just become a thing that I really enjoyed, and I got good at it, and I wanted to share it with people.
I think what's amazing is if you go to the store and you go to the bread aisle, bread in the U.S. is different than other places.
Very.
And if you look at the list of everything that's on that bread, I think that like if you go to fast food, a bun has 30-some ingredients in it. If you make this loaf, I know there's not 30 ingredients on that label with that. But it's very, very simple when you look at the ingredients. Now, it can taste very bad if it's made wrong. And if you're somebody that's new into getting into sourdough, I know we've done it a few times trying to go through with that. That is not easy. You can't forget it. You have to nurture it and baby it and take care of it.
Yes, yes. We have of course, sourdough starter is the whole thing that sets it off. You can't have sourdough bread without it. And when I made mine 2 years ago, I think, you feed it every day, you set it on the counter, you let it raise, you let it do its thing. And then when it falls back down, you feed it again. And it was a running joke that it was like our child, because my husband and I don't have any kids yet. So, of course, children have to have names. And I went with Lazarus because it just keeps rising. So, that's a running joke in our house that, go feed Lazarus. Have you fed Lazarus yet? Yeah. It's.
So, people can go down a rabbit hole with food real easily, right? And
Yeah.
you get into it, and if you start on sourdough and you have that discard, then you start going down the gap of, what are all the things I can make with discard?
Oh, I have been down that one. Yes, for sure.
So what's been your favorite thing that you've made with that maybe is not thought of, that like, hey, I could go make this?
Pizza crust just with the sourdough discard. It's like super thin and really crunchy and crispy, and you put it in a cast iron skillet and just pour it in there, and you just let it cook for a few minutes, and then you put your toppings on, and it's crispy and it's crunchy and it's so good.
Yeah.
That's the most odd thing I think I've made with the discard. And it doesn't sound odd, but it sounds weird just pouring plain discard, nothing else. Just flour in the water and the little tangy taste that the sourdough naturally has.
And you were mentioning earlier, as far as kind of the health difference of what you're eating, bread gets a bad rap, that it's like, hey, it's unhealthy, pasta's unhealthy. And for a lot of people, what's unhealthy or makes your stomach hurt is all the treatments and things added to it, because it's been stripped of so many nutrients and things. Have you noticed that a lot of people that have started buying your stuff are like, hey, I can actually eat this, it doesn't hurt my stomach?
Yeah, actually. So, one of my best friends from college has been there from the beginning. It was like, yeah, you could do this, like, you got it. But anyway, she found out that she was having a lot of gluten sensitivities. So, of course, they found that out, and now she is gluten intolerant. But on occasion, when I see her, she lives a few hours away, I always bring her bread. And I gave her some of my starter so she can make her own bread. But the whole purpose of sourdough is that it has a long ferment. So it's not like traditional yeast that like the little things of yeast that you just tablespoon in there. This one has live cultures, and it's literally living, which I think, know. So it ferments, it depends, usually 6 to 8 hours. Then you shape the bread and then you put it in the refrigerator to cold proof for 8 to about 72 hours. And I think for hers, because she has gluten intolerance, the longer that it stays in the refrigerator, the more those healthy bacteria can break down that gluten. So hers stays in the fridge for about 3 days before I ever bake it, and she does really great with it. So yeah, a lot of people have said that, like, I can't eat bread, I don't have this, and it's really hard to explain to people, actually, you might be able to, because this doesn't have this, and this. It has flour, salt, and water, and it doesn't have all these extra things, and it's long fermented, and it's gut healthy because it's a bacteria, well, that sounds bad, a living bacteria.
Hey, if you eat yogurt, you're eating stuff. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fermented, it's cultured, all the things. But yeah, so it's hard to explain that to people, and I always encourage people, like, do your research on it. Don't just buy it because it looks cool or it's a trend, but do your research. Like, it's been around for eons for a reason. So
well, you see with people, even if they're selling fresh bread, like that's great. If somebody goes to the farmer's market, they pick up some fresh bread. Maybe it's some Amish friendship bread or something with that, but it's still going to be that quick yeast, quick raise, and it's still, for a lot of people, it's going to create that sensitivity as far as gut health. For us, my little girls, I've got 7, 5, and 2-year-old. Bread and dairy, not always their friend, but a lot of times what we notice is if you eliminate that processed, prepackaged, go buy it, you eliminate the convenience, and it goes back to what it would have been in the 50s, 60s earlier of, hey, we're going to go. We're not going to mill it, but we're going. Hey, it's freshly made. We're going to use a sourdough. It's going to naturally raise here with that as far as going through. and it's a totally different experience.
It is.
With that. Now, you're not just making fresh bread, although this bread looks delicious, and I can't wait to tap into it with that. I know that you do a limited release menu that you go out every single month or for special occasions, and it's like, hey, here's what I'm going to be doing. Why do it that way versus, a lot of times people will just go to a storefront, or they'll go and they'll pick it up somewhere. Hey, sorry for the interruption, but I know that you're probably watching this and you're worried about when can you actually afford to retire. Well, good news. We can help you out with that. Find out what it's going to look like for you if you keep walking down your own financial path. Do you have enough money? Are you saving in the right places? Are there anything that you need to watch out for that maybe you're not planning for, like if you get sick or hurt and you can't work? Or what happens if you need long-term health care in retirement? All those things we address in our financial pathway plan. So if you haven't already, be sure to click the link down below so that we can schedule a time to have a conversation. No cost, no obligation to be able to do anything, simply my way of being able to reach out to you and help with the things that you're worried about because you're a valued listener. Thanks.
So why buy the fresh baked bread, or why buy those items, or why do I?
So why do you go through and you're like, hey, I'm going to go create these limited offerings that kind of going through, not to where it's just like, hey, the same thing's available all the time.
I love seasonal things, so I love all of Valentine's Day's coming up, but all of the Valentine's Day things when you walk in Walmart, like all the little Debbie things that are just cute, and of course different limited things. So I wanted to do that with the things that I bake. And of course, like original bread is always on the menu. Jalapeno cheddar has become one of the most popular breads that I have sold. So it usually stays on the menu. But I just like offering something different that's seasonal. Like during the fall, I had like a fall menu that had all the pumpkin spice things and, oatmeal raisin cookies and all of that. But I'm going to get into some spring things. And of course, that's a lot of like recipe testing and a lot of, tweak this. And I like this recipe, but take that out and maybe do more of this. So my family they've become my official taste testers. And they are no joke. They do not cut slack.
That's good.
Which I like. I mean, yeah, don't beat around the bush. Shoot me straight on that one. Because I don't want to give somebody something that's not as great as
you don't want your husband sitting there going, no, it's great.
Oh, he would never.
I love it.
No, especially my sister and my mom and my dad. My dad and my husband would be like, yeah, that's good. Of course, they're not as picky, but my mom and my sister are like, well, you could probably do this a little better, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So it goes through extensive testing before it goes out. So
now with the cookies, I know that this is a great side project. It's something that you've been growing and continue to do, but day job helping out with kids. Are you taking the cookies and testing them with the kids?
No, I'm not actually. Of course, when we introduce ourselves at the beginning of the year, background and who I am and all the things, and I tell them that I bake on the side, and of course they're like, bring us some. Like, we need some cookies. We want bread.
It's like Kick cereal, kid tested, mother approved.
I can't do it. I couldn't bring it, but yeah.
So, I mean, you now a year in. What's been the hardest thing as far as lesson business-wise that you've had to learn so far?
A lot. Pre-planning, because this isn't my my primary job, even though that would be wonderful if one day it would become my primary job. So, planning life, planning my responsibilities at school, planning, bake days, what can I prep tonight? So in the morning when I get up before school, I'll have it ready. It'll make the process quicker so I'm not late. And that's been the biggest thing for me, because once it started getting, 18, 20, 24, one weekend I did 40 loaves of bread, plus all the other things, like planning becomes huge.
Now, are you doing this out of a traditional kitchen space, or have you created your own little zone and upgraded like a commercial space?
That would be wonderful. So that's always my thought. I've been trying to convince my dad and my husband.
We'll just get a GoFundMe link going down below, and that,
That'd be great.
commercial oven.
Yeah, so I have space in my house. I've been trying to convince my dad and my husband that it's a great investment and it would be really wonderful for the business and I could do the farmers markets and all the things that I want to do. But no, right now it's just my regular oven. I found a way to bake multiple loaves of bread at a time. Once I have my little assembly line going, I have my bread rack, and I've learned that it takes a little bit of planning, but it goes okay.
Yeah, you talk about trying to figure out logistically of planning. If you're turning out 40 loaves with a traditional oven,
Yes.
that is a more than all day adventure.
Oh, absolutely. All day, most of the night. I do have baking assistants, which will be my mom. She helps a lot with stuff, which I'm very appreciative of. But she doesn't help weekly. She normally helps when I have like the bigger orders. Like I did the holiday bazaar back in November, and she helped me with that because I could have never, ever done all of that. I think we baked like 65 loaves.
Oh my goodness.
I could have never done it without her help. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, with this a year in, what's been the hardest thing to overcome?
Oh, wow. Gosh. I don't really know what the hardest thing within the business.
Yeah.
Probably getting the word out. That's really hard. And I know that we live in a small community and word of mouth is the greatest, the greatest advertisement that I could have. Probably just that. And I try to, advertise that it's a really easy pickup process. You order online, you pick your date, you pick your time that I'm offering, and then you pay online on that pickup day. It is out on my front porch, like on the bread shelf. Your name's on it. It's in a bag, and it's ready. So I think that's been the biggest challenge, just getting the process. And this is pretty easy to get fresh baked bread.
Yeah, I think it's a non-traditional method of being able to get stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for us, we've done that for a few years where it's like, you have somebody that makes charcuterie boards or different things, and it's like it's a porch pickup. And a lot of that was born out of necessity during COVID. That it was like, hey, I'm going to prep it and I'll put it out.
It was.
It's, we're going to be a non-touch that we can do this. You've already paid. You have your designated time. And a lot of boutiques have done that over time. That it's like, hey, your stuff's here. It's in this lockbox. Here's the code. You can get it. But if you're looking for that, for you, obviously, we bought a cake off of someone for one of my daughter's birthdays, and it was like show up at the house, and then you don't know what door to go to, and then you're knocking, and you're like, okay, I hope, and then they're like, come on in. I'm like, don't really want to. Just give me my cake.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of that. It's a different thing that when you can tell people like, hey, here's this, and I know you do a great job of sharing that on Facebook. Like, here's the porch. You're going to come to it. Here's where it's at. It's everything. It's super, super easy, and it's great for you because it's low stress. That when somebody's ordered. You're not, you can make some extra things if you want to, but it's very easy to say like, hey, order's cut off by this date. You got to have it in.
Yes.
And I can appreciate you've made it super simple to where you go to your Facebook page, you literally click order. It's not like, hey, where do I go? What site do I? No, you go there and you click order, and it takes you right to where you need to be.
I'm not great with complicated things, so I try to make it as easy as possible for people to order. And of course, like, there's been people message and say, hey, if I want to order this and I can't make the pickup time, could we do a different pickup time? And that, I understand, life is busy, so I've done that before, just alternate pickup times for people if they, specifically reach out and ask. But for the most part, and with address, like the address to our house, which I do not give out openly, but when you order, it automatically sends you a confirmation and the order, and then it has all the directions that I put in there for, come to this address, and then you go on the walkway, and it's up on the bread shelf, and if it's not, knock on the door. So try to make it as easy as possible.
Awesome. Now, we're coming up on the spring season. I know you took this January off as we record this just to kind of regroup. And
Yes.
let's be honest, nobody wants to pick up bread in 7-degree or below weather.
That's true. It was a good timing, which
So lots of product testing, getting ready for that. You mentioned that you were having your Valentine's Day push for everything. When do people need to have orders in for Valentine's Day?
Orders for that are February the 7th, because I have pickups are that next Saturday, that Wednesday and that Saturday, because I had something at school on Thursday that I could not do pickups the day before Valentine's Day, which when I realized it, I was like, oh man, I should have planned ahead. But Wednesday and Saturday should be okay.
Well, you're planning well
Hopefully.
ahead by this. You know,
Yes,
you're not
yeah.
finding it out like the week ahead of time, like, oh snap, I'm sorry that I told you to pick up. Definitely can't do that day.
Yes.
Planning. Yeah, that's
all in the
that
planning.
was what you said. You said that was the lesson of it has taught you more and more. Hey, I got to plan ahead. I got to look ahead. I've got to, not only the logistics of how many loaves and orders of cookies do I need to get ready, but how do I plan life around it and still take care of the wonky donkey?
Yes. Yes.
So, has there been a favorite recipe that you tried that you said, you know what, I didn't think that would work, but this is amazing?
Oh, probably, I think it sounds nice. Blueberry lemon. But when you put it in a loaf of bread, you're like, that doesn't sound that great. But it really is, I really liked it a lot. That was one that surprised me and my family, because none of us are huge, I guess, fruity people in bread, which I don't think a lot of people are.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that I've necessarily had fruit bread. You're thinking closer like a cranberry raisin.
Yes.
You probably have had that maybe in a cinnamon roll, some type of thing, a sweet bread, but not necessarily just kind of.
Yeah, fresh blueberries and lemon zest, a little bit of sugar, but yeah, it worked out.
Very cool. So if someone says, hey, I want to follow along with the Wonky Donkey, I want to find out more information, see when you're going to have product drops, see when you're going to, your next thing that you're doing, where can they follow along?
On Facebook is the best place to find all the things. I do have an Instagram page, but I have dropped the ball on the Instagram page, and that is completely my fault. But I want to pick it back up and make it just like Facebook. But of course, with Instagram, you can do different things, and the reels are more, prevalent on Instagram. So I want to start doing that more. But Facebook is the main one for now.
Awesome. And we will share that link down below so that way you can hop over to Facebook, look at all the pretty pictures of the bread and all the other treats, and then hopefully put an order in for yourself so that way you can enjoy it as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Hannah, thanks so much for joining us, being able to share the story of the Wonky Donkey, and
thank you so much for
talk
having me.
about all the
It's been a
fun things of
blast.
food.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, hey, if you like this episode, be sure to like, share, subscribe so you never miss sharing information about everything happening here in Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee. We got some amazing guests lined up, just like Hannah, that are going to be able to share their story and what's going on. And this is Andy Young, the Mountain Money Man, saying, I'll catch you down the road.